In this tutorial, I will introduce the graph tool that is available under Toolbox, Introduction, and the Graph Tool tab. Graph tool is an easy to use yet powerful tool that allows corpus linguists to display graphs based on their data. Graph tool consists of the main window in which we copy paste the data we prepare in a spreadsheet, and then we select different parameters, either one linguistic variable, multiple linguistic variables if we are interested in the relationship, and then we can decide whether we want the graph to describe the distributions or predict something based on the distributions. First of all, we need to go to the spreadsheet to prepare the data. Here's an example of a spreadsheet that has multiple corpus data included in it. Let's focus on this dataset first. Here we have 3 different corpora with 10 texts each that look at the distribution of a single linguistic variable. Let's say I'm interested in the distribution of the linguistic variable in one particular corpus. I can just copy and then paste the data into the graph tool. This is what it looks like in the graph tool. Then select one linguistic variable, and let's say I'm interested in the description of this variable, and just click on Create Graph. Immediately when I scroll down, I can see the result, which is a graph. In this case, it is a histogram that describes the distribution of this linguistic variable, whether this linguistic variable is normally distributed, and so on. I can use the right mouse click and copy or save the image to my computer. Okay, let's go back to the original data set. Imagine I'm interested in the distribution of the variable in multiple corpora. This time I copy paste the distribution for all 3 corpora. Keep one linguistic variable, because this is one linguistic variable in multiple corpora. Still want to describe the distribution. Click Create Graph, and this time I get a simple box plot that shows me the distribution of the variable in these 3 corpora. If I'm interested in building the error bars around the mean, which is a type of prediction when we predict the 95% confidence intervals around the mean, I just simply change the option from description to prediction and get another type of graph. Very useful, especially if we want to investigate the differences between different corpora with regard to a specific linguistic feature. Here we can see that these error bars are non-overlapping error bars, so there's meaningful difference between each of these corpora. Okay, let's go back to our data set. This time we will be looking at multiple linguistic variables in a single corpus. Here I have 64 different speakers and 3 linguistic variables: the definite article the, I, the first person pronoun, and use, and these all are relative frequencies in that particular speaker sample. I simply copy, and let's start with 2 linguistic variables, and then we can look at multiple. So I look at the and I. Now I can copy paste this into the search box. This is what it looks like. Speaker, first linguistic variable, second linguistic variable. I have to change the selection to multiple linguistic variables, and let's say I'm still interested in the description, what I get is a simple scatter plot that shows the relationship between the use of the first person pronoun I and the definite article. If I change the option to prediction, in addition to the scatter plot, I get this nice regression line in the middle of the data that shows the linear tendency or the relationship between these two variables. If I do this with multiple variables, in this case all three variables, copy paste, multiple variables, description, create graph, I get multiple scatter plots, each comparing two linguistic variables, the and I and you and the other variables. Finally, let's have a look at another type of data in our example. This time we are looking at 4 different corpora and 3 linguistic variables. This data set differs from the other data sets in one important aspect, and that is we are looking at different corpora. We are not looking inside the corpora, but we have only one value per corpus, so we are not looking at the internal distribution of the variables in the corpora, but we take the corpora as wholes, and we have multiple linguistic variables. It is important that you type the word corpus here in the first row of the first column so the tool can recognize this type of data. Let's say I'm interested in all these, so 3 linguistic variables in 4 different corpora and the development there. I say multiple linguistic variables, and we want to describe what's happening in these 4 corpora. And here, as you can see, I get a very nice description in the form of a line chart. Okay, if you are interested in more details, there's a help page that explains all the details and all the parameters that you need to use. However, the graph tool is a very simple and intuitive tool to use.